Hi, guys. So, I wanted to talk about a news story that's starting to break out here because it's something that kind of impacts me. Um, it's about the rising cost of medications. And I am no stranger to that, being on quite a few for conditions that are life threatening. For instance, I have asthma, so I take Ventolin, and these are pretty cheap. I mean, they're about $68, not, a deal breaker. However, the one that's been getting a lot of attention is EpiPens. I was prescribed EpiPens earlier this year after having symptoms that were, I would say, a parent of anaphylaxis. I was seen by an allergist who, after showing him pictures of rashes all across my body and describing the symptoms, he's like, "Yeah, you have some sort of allergy." And after testing, we were able to narrow it down to dairy, which is like in almost everything. And you'd be surprised what has dairy. Even spaghetti sauce, like Prego or Ragu, some of them have dairy in it. And there's some things that actually don't have dairy, like Oreos don't have dairy in them. So you can bet that they're my new favorite dessert. So it's very frustrating because even when I go out, if let's say I go out to McDonald's or something, those restaurants are not equipped to handle people with allergies. Cross contact is very common in those industries. Even going through a drive-through, I've had cases where I started feeling sick within minutes of eating something that I specifically requested not to have cheese or something that is known to have dairy. It's kind of like Subway, where if you go through the line, they at the end of it they'll take the knife that they use to cut other sandwiches. It still has like mayo and all that other crap on it, and they'll go ahead and cut your sandwich, which you didn't ask to have those items on there. That is what cross contact is. Cross contamination is where you have like raw chicken and raw vegetables. So it's a different issue. But EpiPens, which are the go-to life-saving tool, their costs have skyrocketed out of control, and it's a multi-part issue. But I really think it comes down to greed. Of course, the company Mylan, which is based in Nevada, is not going to say anything that criminates themselves. But at the end of the day, Mylan, you have to explain why that in the past 6 months this went up $130. And I know it has because I just got a new refill the other day, and I can show you the front, but it's got my little name on it. But yeah, this is a brand new EpiPen. It expires August 2017, and haven't taken it out of the box. Whatever. They come with a tester. They come with so this is like a trainer, so it teaches you how to do your thing. And it comes with a 2-pack. You can't get them in single things because epinephrine only lasts about 15-20 minutes at best. So what it's really designed for is to buy you time. Because when you go into an ambulance, a lot of times what they'll do is hook you up to an IV, and they'll give you additional doses of epinephrine through the IV. But what the EpiPen is supposed to do is, if you call 911, you're not going to have an ambulance at your door a minute later. It takes anywhere from 15-20 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. I know this because I've been in an ambulance at least 5 times in the past 6 months for various issues. So, yeah, even when I overdosed and tried to kill myself, it took them quite a bit of time to get there. So what an EpiPen is really supposed to do is, you jab it, it will reverse those symptoms, so you're going to feel perfectly fine, and then an ambulance will probably be at your door in time. So when they get you back to the hospital, at least you're now in a stable condition, and you're not going to die. So my question for Mylan is, Why are you charging so much for this drug? And I think it comes down to, as I said, greed. And I also think that they kind of benefited by lobbying the shit out of these drugs. Up until recently, schools didn't carry epinephrine. What would normally happen is a parent would get multiple packs of EpiPens and they would send their child to school with one. So the nurse's station would have a EpiPen for every student that was allergic because the parents would supply them. So what Mylan did was they lobbied the shit out of this drug in trying to get Congress to pass a bill mandating every federally funded school has to have a supply of EpiPens at the school. So, yeah, it sounds like a good idea because, hey, who wouldn't want a life saving drug available for their kid? You know, fuck, if I had a kid who had an allergy, I would be perfectly okay with them having this drug available to them. However, it's the only drug available. So part of that bill means Mylan is the sole distributor or like manufacturer of EpiPens. So you're not going to find any of the competitors in the schools. So they basically monopolized our public school system for EpiPens. And it's not only that. It's there was a company called AccuView, or AviQ or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. It looked like a cigarette box, and it would actually talk you through. When you pull it off, it would actually start talking to you and walk you through injecting it. They were recalled recently. I believe in February of 2016 they were recalled. So since there's no real name brand competitor, Mylan basically took this opportunity to price gouge the market, which they're doing. And trust me, they're price gouging because they're more than happy to announce that the marketing of this drug has been so successful and that their sales have gone up, that their gross profits and income from this drug is at an all-time high. And this is where the problem is. It's corporations being greedy fucks, and they're taking advantage of people like me. They're taking advantage of people who need this drug, need it available to us. Because how am I supposed to know if something that I specifically ordered, like I had vegan donuts, how am I supposed to know if there's a little bit of cross contact there? What if the chef, the baker that was making my vegan donuts also made a batch of regular donuts earlier that day and used the same, didn't wash their hands and, used the same materials to make those donuts? That's cross contact. That will now put traces of dairy and eggs in the vegan donuts, which vegan isn't supposed to have dairy or eggs in it. So what really needs to happen, and it's not going to happen, is they need to regulate pricing of medications and services. This country is one of the most expensive countries to have any sort of medical procedure performed on you, which is why people tend to travel out of country to have severe surgeries done, because insurance companies aren't covering them completely. Instead, they leave that cost up to people like us who can barely make it through, with insurance. So just when I first got my first set of EpiPens, they were at $630 from Walgreens. And I know Walgreens is not the cheapest place to get these. But they're more or less the same price wherever you go. They're now at $700, and I would say about $750 or around that price. Again, it all depends on where you shop. So the way I know, and I'll get the exact number because Walgreens is more than happy to put the price. They put a little, there's a little tag if you're ever wondering how much the drug cost. There's a little tag that says your insurance saved you, and it has the dollar amount, and it also tells you the retail price. So the retail price of an EpiPen now is $729.99. And it was $634 back in March, the last time I got one of these. So it really begs the question, why? Why did it go up? And I was watching a news report where they reached out to Mylan and asked, and Mylan's like, "Oh, we don't set the prices. That's a distributor thing." Bullshit. You can't lie to me. You can't make a press release or an investor announcement of, "Hey, our drug is doing fan-fucking-tastic," and then turn around and say, "Oh, we don't set the prices." What do you mean? If you look at the history of when Mylan bought EpiPens, because they were not the creator of EpiPen. EpiPen was actually copyrighted, developed, and created over 30 years ago. It's a very old drug, but Mylan bought it off of a company that bought it off another company, so it's exchanged hands a few times. But Mylan's the one that skyrocketed the price out of control, because back in 2007, the drug was more or less a maximum around $200. So in the past, I would say 9-10 years, it has gotten out of control. So I don't think there's really much we can do. This is not a case of where you can just boycott a life-saving drug. This is why these companies get away with it. Because what are you going to do? Not have an EpiPen with you? What are you going to do? Not use it? And then the worst part is they expire after a year. After a year, the drug is not as effective. And you don't want to carry around expired medication that is your life-saving tool. And so they know this. And they're just going to continue to milk the system. And the problem is, it's the parents of kids who, and there's some parents with multiple kids that have life-threatening allergies, they're screwed. They really are. And the insurance companies are passing the buck. Insurance companies are increasingly reducing how much of that drug they're going to cover. So something has to change. This country is ridiculous when it comes to medical costs. You can't explain to me why one night stay in the ER costs me over $2,000 just to stay in the room, and then you're going to charge me $400 for 3 pills that you gave me the entire time I was there. And then to test my urine, because it's procedure, you're going to charge $240 to test that? Really? Does it really cost you that much to provide all those services? And that's why we need to change. That someone needs to stand up and push for I would say a revolution in terms of medical. Because these same EpiPens cost $80 without insurance in Canada. That's ridiculous.